Okay, I might.
Okay.
I probably need to get my headsets or whatever. You
How-
doing all right, my man?
Very, very good. Everything's all right. We've got the sunny day, so it's really good. Really good May Day.
Great, great. We've been having pretty good weather down here, although today it's a little overcast. I don't think it's going to rain, but probably later in the week, maybe tomorrow, it'll probably rain some. But all in all, it's been pretty good.
Yes, everything's fine.
Yeah, well, good, good, good.
Thank you very
Where
much.
now, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Poland, and it's Gdynia. It's northern part of Poland. So
Oh, okay, okay.
so need the bay. We call it sea, but it's exactly the bay. So we've got need a lot of water, forests, nature. So it's perfect place to live.
Good. Sounds nice.
But in
Sounds
the
nice.
backgrounds, forests.
Yeah. Never been to Poland, so I can't say that I've seen that or been there.
You should. It's really nice. It's a really nice place.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it.
How should I call you, Theodore or Blue? Because I know you.
Blue. Blue. Nobody
Right.
calls me Theodore.
Oh, okay.
except my wife. She don't want to call me Theodore.
Okay. So we call you Blue because I remember you as a Blue Edwards from NBA cards and also from some actions in the NBA action to top 10. But the reason why I call you, it's sad reason. It's really a tough year because at the beginning of the year, Commissioner David Stern died, got the Bryant tragic death. Now we've got the frozen NBA season, and a couple of days ago, Jerry Sloan passed away. You as a former Utah Jazz player, could you tell me what kind of coach and the person he was?
Oh man, Jerry, I could probably talk for the next hour about the type of person and coach that Jerry Sloan was. As a person, he was a humble man, hardworking guy. He was what they call, a straight shooter. I mean, he wasn't going to sugarcoat it. He was going to tell you exactly how he thought it was and how it should be. And then he was just going to give you the opportunity to go out and do it,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the conversations, very witty guy, very smart guy. And when you sit down and you think about it, what he has said to you, what he has done makes a whole lot of sense, and you're better because of it. Now, as a coach, he was the same way. His approach was, you're a professional athlete, you're getting paid a whole lot of money, just show up, put in an honest day's work, enjoy that, go home, get some rest, and get ready to do it again and over and over and over again. He was a competitor. He had us fired up for every game. For me, it was, my first experience in the NBA, my first coach. So I hung on every word that he said. And like I said, he gave me assignments, gave us all a job responsibility. And then he just gave us the forum to go out and do it. I enjoyed playing for him. He made me a much better basketball player, better person. And now that I coach a lot of high school age kids and AAU kids, I run a lot of the same stuff that Jerry did. And my approach is very similar.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, Jerry was your first coach. And how do you remember your rookie season? Was it how he treated rookies? Was it did he treat you in the same way like the other players, or rookies were rookies and need to gain the respect?
A little bit of both. I mean, he treated everybody with respect, regardless if you were an all-star, if you were a rookie. But there was a certain amount of good-natured ribbing of the rookie players, basically to break the ice, to make you feel relaxed. Because I went in, again, not knowing what to expect. So I was just as uptight and tight as can be. And when you have guys that are willing to tease you, willing to prank you, it helps welcome you in. But his expectations for you were just like, as a rookie, his expectation for you was just like a 10-year veteran. You come in shape, ready to go, ready to work, and just try to make yourself better, better and better each day.
So I guess that for you as a rookie, it was really difficult to be in a team with the coach who was well known for his attitude to hard work, and also Karl Malone and John Stockton, who also expected from you that you are not only in the team, but you need to prove that you are in the right place.
It was, coming from where I came from, East Carolina, a relatively small school, going into the NBA for the first time. It was a great opportunity to be on a good basketball team, being surrounded with future Hall of Fame players, some of, two of the better players at that position. And you had some really other good players, Darrell Griffith, Thurl Bailey, Mark Eaton, Mike Brown, and those guys. Eventually I played with Jeff Malone. But it was a place where I could go and there wasn't a lot of pressure on me. As I said, Jerry expected you to produce, expect you to be ready to go, which I did that. But it wasn't like I was expected to help them, carry the franchise and help them get out of mediocrity, help them, increase, 10, 15 games. So I had a chance to be brought along slowly, although I started as a rookie. I jumped right in wanting to prove that I could play. And being around those guys, no egos, just good basketball players, good men, everybody buying into Jerry's team philosophy made it work. And that's the type of environment I've been in as a basketball player most of my life. So for me, I cannot think of a better place for me to go as a rookie and to play most of my career.
And how did you evolve your cooperation with Jerry Sloan during your time spent in Utah Jazz? Because first 2 years, I found that it was half games you were starter, and in the third year you became the starter, full starter, let's say full-time starter. You played 81 games. Each game you were in the first team. And how do you remember that? How this cooperation with Jerry Sloan cooperate during those years?
Jerry, again, he is all about communication. He is all about cooperation. Two men sitting down and talking like men. He knew that as a rookie that I was going to struggle at some point in time, being conditioning or being just, after playing 30, 35 games, being tired and just the rigors of the NBA. So he was always there, always had his door open. And from time to time, he would say some stuff that would help me. And it's almost like he was reading my mind because he had been through that, years before. And he's had that, he had that with, other players. So his experience helped me be able to communicate with him a little bit better. Funny story. I was in awe of all those guys I played with because some of them I watched playing, growing up. Thurl Bailey, I was a huge Thurl Bailey fan because I was an NC State fan. Mm-hmm. And so to see those guys, I was just in awe, in awe. So I didn't lack in confidence, but I still was in a shell. And it wasn't until my agent called me and said, hey, the next time you talk to Coach Sloan, when you shake his hand, you got to make sure you give him a firm handshake. And I'm like, okay, why is that? And he's like, he's big on that. That comes across as a lack of respect. And so the next time when I shook hands with him, I made sure that I gave him a firm handshake. And I put aside any intimidation that I had. And every time we talked, I looked him dead in his eye. And so those two little things help open our lines of communication. And then, again, as a coach, you're going to yell, you're going to scream sometimes at a player. You're going to get mad at a player. You're going to take a player out of a starting lineup and put him on the bench for whatever reason. Sometimes that's done just to get that player out of a comfort zone or to make him feel a sense of urgency. None of it was done as punishment. It was just done to make me a better basketball player so that I could contribute more to the team. And that's exactly what Jerry told me. He said, hey, you have a lot of talent. You can contribute a lot to this team. I got to coach that out of you. And I respected that. Mm-hmm.
So as you said, he was really tough as a coach, but fair as well. And so you also received some feedback from him. So I think it's really important from the coach that even if you are struggling, but he see that there's effort in what you are doing, that's the point.
We know, I think anytime you're struggling, being whatever your job may be, there's going to be times when you struggle. The best way to come out of struggle is to show up early and work extremely hard as you can. And then when that part of your work assignment is over, maybe stay over and work a little bit extra. So they saw me putting in the time. So they saw me putting in the effort. So they weren't worried about me so much. They knew that, you know, the rookie players, like when I started playing, you know, I was playing well, you know, gradually. And as the season went on, when it gets tougher and tougher, you start to wear down a little bit. So they knew that. And so by playing me a little bit less, taking me out of the starter lineup, just gave me a chance to not really feel the pressure of now you're in the second half of the season. Now these games mean a little bit more. So it was just a way of taking the pressure off me. And again, looking back on it, I respect that because he was protecting me as much as he possibly can. And as I said, Jerry, when you see him on the sideline, you think that he's like a maniac, but he's not that at all. He's very, very intense, but he's not that way. He's intense, but he's not that way towards the players. As I said, it's just, hey, you're a professional. I expect you to show up and work and give me 100%, and then we can go home. And as long as you did that, you know, you were fine. The other part of his coaching is working the officials. And sometimes you have to have that demeanor. And make no mistake about it, Jerry was as fiery and as competitive as anybody I've ever seen. And certainly the coach that I've ever had on any level, he exceeds that by far in both categories. You know, tough-minded, fiery competitor, and he wanted me to be just like that. He wanted all his players to be just like that.
So I guess that after the third year of your career was finished, it was really tough for you when you heard that Utah just decided to trade you to the Milwaukee Bucks. Did it in any way change your relation with the Jerry Sloan, which you created during these first 3 years?
It did. It changed it a lot because, in fact, I had met with the owner, Larry Miller. I think Larry Miller is deceased now. But in a meeting, maybe 2 weeks prior to that, he told me that they weren't going to trade me, and that they were going to sign me to a long-term contract. So I walked out of that meeting thinking that I was going to be there. So when I went to get my car washed, the guy that washes my car is the one that told me I was traded. I'm like, man, get out of here. He said, no, it was just on the radio. I'm like, no way. And then I went over to I had to go for some treatment. I was getting ready to go do some summer camps for the Jazz. And I saw one of the secretaries who had come down near our locker room. And when she walked past me, she gave me a hug and she said, oh, wow, you were one of my favorite players. And I knew right then I was traded. And it hurt because it felt personal at the time. But when I got home, Jerry had called and he left a message. And I missed that message earlier in the day. And then we had a chance to talk. He just said that it wasn't personal. They just had to make a business decision.
Yeah, business is business.
That I would be really good in the NBA, and perhaps this would give me a chance to improve and become even better. And that's exactly what it did. So it did hurt because it feels like, you know, they give up on you. They think you can't play. So my confidence took a hit. 2-3 weeks after that, it started to motivate me because I wanted to prove them wrong. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. And I just wanted to prove to myself that whether I'm in Utah or not, I can still, have a good impact on a team in the NBA.
You became the point leader in Milwaukee Bucks, your next club. And did you have some special motivation where you were playing against Utah Jazz that you want to show that, Jerry, you see, now I'm the better player and I want to do the team?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, absolutely. I felt like in Utah, they already had a system. And I felt like I can play in that system, although my skill set, it wasn't the best system for me. I had to stand around a lot, and I was more active than that. So when I went from Utah to Milwaukee, it was a chance for me to have a little bit more impact on the offense. There were plays run for me. I was the first or second option on most occasions. So I just had the freedom to make plays, to take chances. Whereas in Utah, you didn't necessarily have that. And what I missed in Utah was having those great players that took a lot of pressure off us. So it gave me the freedom and the opportunity to show more of my skill set. And so I welcomed that. And when we went back to play Utah, I wanted to show them, you know, some of the other things that I can do as a basketball player that I was not allowed to do when I was in Utah. And so I had some great games against them. We didn't win any, but it was still fun because I wanted to show them that I was more than what you thought I was, and probably you could have utilized me a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. And you also came back to, again, you play in Utah Jazz in the season 94-95, but in a different role. And how do you remember this second episode in the Utah Jazz?
You know what? One of the first people that I talked to, listen, when I was in Boston and I saw in the newspaper that I could possibly get traded back to Utah, I was excited because I was like, I would definitely go back there. Because now I had been with two other franchises, actually three other franchises. I'm sorry, two other franchises. And you see that in Utah, it was a family atmosphere, and that's really special. And so I would definitely love the idea of going back to that. And so when it happened, I was excited because I'm like, okay, I'm familiar with Utah. They're familiar with me. This is a great place for me. I'm ready for whatever role. And so when I got back there, one of the first people I talked to was Jerry Sloan's first wife, Bobby. Mm-hmm. And I had, I knew who she was. I had seen her a couple of times. We just spoke in passing. And she took me by the hand. She called me to the side and she says, I want to tell you this. She said, she says, Jerry came into the house. I've never seen Jerry this excited before. Normally he comes in, he's all stoic, and he came in, he was excited. He smiled, he grabbed me and said, hey, Blue's coming back. And she said, I want you to know that was one of the best days in his life. He was so excited that you were coming back. She said, I hope you are just as excited. And I said, trust me, I'm equally excited to be back here. She said, have you seen Jerry yet? I said, no. She said, that's going to be special when y'all see each other. And I remember seeing him, and it was just nothing but smiles and big smiles and hugs. And, it felt like really coming home. And at that point, it didn't matter what role they had for me. I knew they had a purpose for me, and I just wanted to make sure that I was ready to go. And I remember Jerry asking me, he said, I see that you haven't played a lot in the last few games. He said, are you ready to go? I'm like, absolutely. And he said, okay, we're going to use you right away. And pretty much when I came back that first night, getting out there on the floor, man, I felt like crying, man. I felt like I had so much energy and just ready to go. And, I came off the bench and, played some good minutes. And it felt just like it did the first go around.
So I guess that you and probably also Jerry were a bit not satisfied when Vancouver Grizzlies decided to took you during extension draft, and you have to went to Canada.
Mm-hmm. Again, it wasn't personal. It's just business. Mm-hmm. And by that time, I just looked at it like that. I'm like, I'm going to another country, another team to play. That's what it is. Nothing I can do about it. Yeah, I was well beyond holding grudges then. It was just another opportunity for me to go and play and prove myself all over again. Being in Canada, being in that first part of that first team, you go through a lot. The travel sucked. The practice facility was nice, but it sucked. Everything just sucked because it was just so new. But at that time, basketball had just become a job to me. And so I just kind of kept my head down and just went and worked out, went and played, and just tried to have fun and just try to create something positive and something special than Vancouver.
But I guess that Vancouver as a city and the area is really, really, really lovely because you've got the mountains, you've got the sea, and the city is it's looking like surrounded by the nature. So I guess as a place to live, it was quite good.
Vancouver's a beautiful city. I mean, great city to play in. You know, the winter and the weather there is a lot like North Carolina. Not too much snow, and it's not so hot. But as you said, you got the mountains, you got the beaches, you got the water. So it was beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And after I got traded, and I would see people in Utah, they would say, "Oh, you're going to Vancouver? It's so beautiful up there. So beautiful up there. So beautiful." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It is." But the one thing that made it tough, because it was just new, and you're creating memories, and you're creating a place for that organization as the days go by. We knew that we weren't going to be a very good basketball team because you threw everybody, together. And to be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of chemistry because everybody's coming from different places. Everybody's trying to either make a name for himself or hold on to his career. We did have some good moments. And what you missed is having that star player, that go-to player that just makes it a little bit easier for everyone else. And there were many nights I thought about, man, damn, do I miss playing with Carl and John? Because you could just throw the ball to those guys and something good is going to happen. You didn't have it. And then I'm like, okay, tonight is me. Tomorrow it might be Greg Anthony. The next night it might be Byron Scott. And then it's just a lot of turnover. And then it just became just the job. It honestly, the playing part wasn't as fun as it used to be. Going to practice wasn't as fun as it used to be. I'm a gamer as well. I love to go to practice. I love being in the gym. Now, I hate to go early, but I'll stay late. I'm like going early because I'm a guy who sets routines. I hate for those routines to be broken. So I'd get there in time to stretch and get tape and have a few minutes before I have to go on the court. Now, I'll stay an hour or 2 hours later if I have to, if need be. But just don't ask me to come early. Just hate it, man. Just hate it.
When you told about Jerry Sloan focusing on the practice, I thought that for sure Allen Iverson wouldn't find a place in the Utah Jazz. For sure, it would be really tough for him.
Well, Jerry, again, his mindset was, when you come to practice, you come to work. But it wasn't like a workman atmosphere. It was just literally like a bunch of guys getting together to play basketball. And you had fun, in the shooting drills, the full court stuff, the defensive stuff. I mean, it was a fun atmosphere. It wasn't like dull and drab and like, okay, man, we got to do this again. No, it was totally different. We loved what we were doing because we knew that if we came in and got our work done, that we were going to get through things quickly and fast. And having a veteran team where guys had already proven themselves, guys had already established themselves, you just jump right in. So it was what you see on the court with a Jerry Sloan coach team is you see efficiency and you see chemistry. And that's because that's the way the practices are conducted. You see guys playing together and guys playing hard on both ends of the court. And that's the way the practice is. And everything moves real quickly. It wasn't like, it wasn't the doldrums. It was a fun atmosphere where guys got after it and then went home.
And how Jerry Sloan coaching style and strategy influence Lou Edwards as a coach? As you mentioned, you are coaching at this moment youth. You've got huge team. And how do you take something from Jerry Sloan's tactics, Jerry Sloan's style, and use it in your daily work as a coach?
Oh, absolutely. This started when I started coaching my daughters. I had twin daughters who play basketball. So when I started coaching their AAU team at 10, with them, it wasn't so much about the X's and O's. It was about chemistry, cooperation, and getting them to understand the fundamental way to shoot, to pass, to play defense, to run the court, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as that group of girls got older, then I started introducing some of the plays, obviously the pick and roll, screen downs and screen across. So it's a lot of actions in one particular play, and then having everybody move with a purpose. So now when they got to be 12 and 13, when I think that they could start understanding what they were trying to do and how to manipulate, the defenses, then I started doing more of the type plays that we had with Utah, where it was more or less a set. You get in a certain set, see how they're playing you, and then, you do whatever they allow you to do. And then the other players are moving off. So one player, we're not just standing around looking at one player. Everybody else is keying off the guy that's near him, And so that made us tough to defend, and it made us very successful. And so now that I coach high school and I coach, I coach boys, it's the same thing. I work with them in drills to better their skills. Then I put them in a couple of sets and have them just execute. So I'm big on execution. I'm big on talking, and I'm big and tough on everybody being tough on defense. How you run the court, how you share the basketball, and spacing, and all those things come directly from Jerry Sloan. And you see a lot of that now in the NBA. Although the style where Jerry had, where the ball goes inside a lot, you don't have that so much now because you don't have those dominant bigs. Everybody's on the perimeter spread out. And so with my AAU guys, again, quick pick and rolls, quick double screens. The other guys off the ball are doing something to occupy their defenders so guys on the ball can create. But one thing that I say consistently with my high school players is basketball now is your job. When practice time comes, you come in and work. Let's work, get our work done, and go home. And so that's a mindset and a philosophy that comes directly from Jerry Sloan.
And what is your best memory as a coach from your coaching career? What makes your heart start that you're really happy about this?
It probably goes back to coaching my daughter's team at 15. When we were 15 is when we had won 2 or 3 consecutive AAU, state titles. And we were playing in the Adidas, the big Adidas circuit. And that's where all the coaches come and watch you play. You play against all the other good players across the country. And I remember hearing, as we were warming up, somebody in the stand say, "Oh, that's that Blue Edwards coach team. They're going to be hard to beat because those girls execute. Those girls can play. They smart." And I take pride in that because that's the type of players and the type of team that I want to have. And if you look at a Jerry Sloan coach team, his teams are smart. They play hard and they play together. And if you look at the record, they usually win a lot of basketball games. So the consistency, the efficacy from player to player and the team as a whole. And so I got to the point where I could sit back and, my wife, who was my assistant coach, would say, "Hey, that team right there is scouting you because they play us next. So don't show them everything." And I say, "You know what? I don't worry about that because that team, we play them next, we're not going to do a lot of the stuff that they're seeing right now." So when we play that team later that night, I run different plays because my plays are basically sets. And my sets, how the defense plays us determines what we do. So I literally can just stand there with my arms crossed and watch my players figure it out. All I got to do is just call, 34 cross. Basically, that's that pick and roll play for Karl Malone. So I call 34 cross. They get in the set. And then all of a sudden, my daughter, who plays a 2-guard, turns and posts up and scores. Okay, the next time down, she's supposed to go screen across for her sister. She realized the girl knows that it's coming, so she automatically pulls to the corner. She steps out to the corner, she makes a 3. So it's just a matter of we're always one step ahead of you because our offense is not as one-dimensional as you might think, and our players are really skilled. And so sitting back and watching that happen and seeing a play develop a step ahead of time as they're running a fast break, and I can see, and I'll go cross court. So we hit the ball ahead on the right side, and she swings it across court, and we get a pull-up jump shot. So just seeing stuff like that reminds me that watching a Jerry Sloan coach team, you see those plays and stuff develop ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Blue, thank you very much. It was really pleasure to talk about your career and also about the Jerry West, about some fun moments, and giving some overview about him as a coach, as a person as well. It was really nice as a pleasure for me. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me and allowing me to talk a little bit.
Thank you.
Rest in peace, Jerry Sloan.
Okay, rest in peace, Jerry Sloan.
All right, take care, man.